Crazy God story. When I used to run a nonprofit mechanic company where my full-time job was fixing cars for broke people for free as a way to share the love of God with people, I never charged anybody for any work I did. I didn't have any financial backers or support, and I didn't get a regular paycheck, but God always took care of the needs of me and my family and financially sustained that business in a bunch of miraculous ways that made it feel like I was living in a story out of the Bible. This was my business card, Affordable Auto Repair. It's full-service nonprofit auto repair. On the back, it says, Affordable Auto Repair is dedicated to sharing the love of God by offering free auto repair to those in need. I spent 50 to 60 hours every week fixing cars for people who could not afford to go to a shop, and I never charged any of them for any of the work I did. Now, typically, after I fixed a car for somebody, they would try and give me like 5 or 10 or maybe 20 bucks. At first, I wasn't going to take that, but then God let me know it was one of the ways that He was going to provide for me and my family. In all the years that I ran that business, there was only 3 times where that came out to more than 300 bucks in a month. Now, about 6 months into me running that business, God told me and my wife that she needed to quit her job. Her job wasn't enough to cover all of our bills and expenses every month, but it was the only stable income we had. However, we trusted God, we took a step of faith, and she quit her job. The next month when rent was due, my wife and I had a little over $300 in the bank. We didn't know how we were going to pay our $650 rent, and so we started praying. God told us to write a check that we couldn't cover. And when I said, God, I can't cover that check, He said, but I can. So in obedience to God, I took a check over to my landlord. Now, I would never tell anyone to write a check they can't cover, but when God tells you to do something, you gotta obey. I gave the check to my landlord and left his house, and as I was walking to my car, I got a phone call from a guy who worked on a ranch. He said, hey, we've got 2 trucks that are broke down. We need you to fix them both, and we're gonna pay you like your shop, and you're not allowed to not take the money. I got enough money from that job to not only cover the rent check, but to stock our fridge and pantry full of groceries and to pay all of our bills for the entire month. And the check that I wrote my landlord got delayed until I got paid from that job and had the money in the bank to cover it. The following month, a construction company called me up and said, hey, we'll pay you half of the $6,000 Ford was going to charge us if you'll fix one of our trucks. The following month, my wife got a job as a property manager, and in addition to her regular pay, we were given a free apartment and they covered our water and electricity. Now, I was doing mobile auto repair out of a ghetto-busted 1990 Mazda 626, and then this couple saw what I was doing. They were so blown away that they bought me a work truck. A guy that ran a pawn shop liked what I was doing so much that he sold me tools at 90% off of retail. In Matthew 6:33, Jesus promised that if you pursue God's kingdom ahead of everything else, that God will supply all of your need. And He absolutely did in our lives. However, sometimes He even went above and beyond to bless us. Not only did He do that, but He would go above and beyond to bless us. Like one time, someone gave my family tickets to Schlitterbahn. Now, I'm nothing special. I don't have crazy, amazing faith. I'm just a regular guy who said yes to God, and He wants the same kind of life for everyone. If you want to know more about my story or how to get better at living by faith, download a free PDF copy of my book.